Hey, I'm Jon Gordon with Positive University, and today my guest is David Meltzer. David, how you doing?
I am so excited. I've always wanted to go to Positive University, so this is amazing. Thank you, Jon.
That's awesome, and now you're one of our faculty, so I'm thrilled to have you. This is awesome. So tell us, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
That's easy for me because at 5 years old, my dad left a single mom, 6 kids, and I was super happy though, right? My mom was a second grade teacher, worked 2 jobs, filled up turnstiles at the 7-Eleven after she worked at schools to put greeting cards in there just so we could have our packed peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for dinner. But I only wanted to be rich. What I want to be when I grow up was a millionaire. I wanted to buy my mom a house. I wanted to buy my mom a car. Because the only time I wasn't happy was when I caught my mom crying because the car broke down or we couldn't afford something. And so I attached immediately my happiness to being rich, and that's all I wanted to be.
And so did you pursue that growing up?
I did in a variety of different ways. So at first I thought I'd be rich by playing football. And unlike my siblings who were literally parents' wet dreams and never got a B in school, went to Harvard, Columbia, Penn, graduated summa cum laude, as my mom had us studying in the back of the Country Squire station wagon. And I would tell them I don't need to study because I was going to be rich playing football. And my big skill in football was I could run scared faster than anyone could angry. And this big mouth and 4 brothers in a 2-bedroom apartment, I learned to juke and jive and miss tackles really easily. But I did get a scholarship to college to play football. And my dreams, my mom always told me, David, doctor, lawyer, or failure. So when I got ran over my first game, my freshman year, I remember lying on my back with a footprint on my chest, someone running me over, literally telling myself, doctor, lawyer, or failure. So I changed my direction immediately to be pre-med and studied really hard until my oldest brother, who was a doctor, gave me a great revelation at 18 years old. He told me that you had to go to hospitals in order to be a doctor, and I hated hospitals. So I changed back to doctor, lawyer, failure, and I decided I'd study to be a lawyer.
Where did you get a scholarship to play football?
I played football at Occidental College. It's where Jack Kemp, Jim Mora, Obama, a very small, I always joke around. I played football at that long list of schools that wanted me to play.
And so you decided to be a lawyer. By the way, I had a Jewish mom who wanted the son the doctor, the son the lawyer. My brother goes to Johns Hopkins pre-med.
Yeah.
I go to Cornell pre-law, and neither of us became either of that. So
I love it. My Harvard brother, who was biochem major and graduated summa cum laude, speaks 6 languages, never got a B in his life, national merit finalist, valedictorian. He is a famous rabbi. So I always joke around after my bio is read, from the Variety magazine, Sports Humanitarian of the Year, Ellis Island Medal of Honor, ran Leigh Steinberg, all the great things in my career, that big bio. I step on stage and I always say, just so you know, my other brother's a rabbi, in case my mom's sitting there. So
I love that. Will you be celebrating Passover tonight?
Leaving early, man. It's not only Passover, it's my mom's birthday. So I'm on my way to San Diego to visit my entire family.
Oh, that's exciting. And so you went to law school. And yes. What did you want to do when you were in law school?
I want to be rich. And so I picked what I thought would make me the richest, which was I got into every law school, and I chose to go to Tulane University because they taught civil and common law. And they had the leading oil and gas program. They taught maritime law. And I thought I'd be an oil and gas litigator, an international oil and gas litigator. And I actually did my research. I asked my uncles that were lawyers. I asked everyone who makes the most money. And they said, litigators, international oil and gas litigators. These guys make unbelievable money. And so that's why I went to law school. That's what I studied. But, being an entrepreneur just kept raising its head. I was so money oriented, even in college, I got a nighttime job selling books. Back then they called them educational systems. They'd buy leads from hospitals for newborn new parents that just had newborns. And I'd go in and tell them the success of my academia family, and that for just $50 a month, for 18 years. They would get books to read to their kids. They'd get encyclopedias, all the way for 18 years. And I was the top sales guy taking night meetings 6 and 8. And then when I was at law school to make money, I got a law firm job 9 to 6. I sold tennis shoes for Roadrunner Sports from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. incoming sales. And I outsold everyone, which ironically, I tell people, don't limit your point of entry, because the second job offer I had in law school, first was be an oil and gas litigator. I made and achieved my goal, but I got a job offer to sell legal research online in the early 90s. There was no such thing as the internet. It was .edu. This is early XT computers, 96 baud modems. Most people listening don't know what that is. But anyway, I got the job out of 2,500 applicants because they couldn't believe that a top lawyer from a top law school that was going to be a litigator would sell books and tennis shoes. And they had no other lawyers that had the experience that I had selling. I did a great lesson, though. Jewish mom lesson, sorry. I always joke around. I have the typical Jewish mom, John. So I tell people, you look at her and you would know that she's a great cook, but you would never know she's a black belt in the martial arts. In fact, she's a 3rd degree black belt in the martial art of Jewish guilt. And so I had to go to my mom and ask her, hey, what should I do? I got this unbelievable job working for an oil company, right? And 2, or should I sell legal research online? And my mom, without blinking, said, David, you got to be a real lawyer. This internet thing is a fad. Don't do it. Don't do it, David. And so I had to overcome the black belt. And I learned a lesson that's very important, though. Just because someone loves you doesn't mean they give you good advice. And a lot of times we take advice from, especially our Jewish moms that are 2nd grade teachers that love us too much, that only want security and happiness for us, and we end up resenting them. I know so many nice Jewish boys and girls, nice Catholic boys and girls. We invented it, they perfected it. But if you don't listen to your heart, if you don't follow your positive beliefs, if you don't believe in yourself, it's okay to tell your parents, this is not for me, and I'm going to go for it. And I'm lucky I did, because 9 months out of law school, I was a millionaire. The internet was not a fad. In 1995, West Publishing, the company I worked for, sold for $3.4 billion. And that's when not many companies sold for that much. Put my life on a trajectory into the Silicon Valley as someone that was a guru in the internet. And I raised and learned Sand Hill Road and built relationships. I was known as a maverick in that area. I worked for a wireless proxy server company. I raised millions of dollars, 169 million, and became at 32 years old the CEO of the world's first smartphone with Samsung. And I literally had everything I ever dreamed of by 32. I married my dream girl. There was a girl that I fell in love with in the 4th grade. I had a friend ask her to go study with me in the 6th grade. She was actually Jewish. And she said no. I threw an egg at her. I threw rocks at her. I called her ugly. And somehow later on in life, I reconnected. Someone pushed me into her when I was 27 years old in Mexico. And I bumped into her. And by the time I was 32, we were married with 3 daughters. And I had anything I wanted to buy. And I thought at that time, I was Midas. I literally thought everything I touched turned to gold.
Well, let's step back for a second. So out of law school, you said within 9 months you were a millionaire. How does that happen? And then tell us about how you felt when you became a millionaire. And what did you feel like at 32 when you've achieved everything?
Yep.
Were you fulfilled or empty at the time? So take us
Great
back.
question. Super fulfilled at 9 months out of law school. I mostly had anxiety that it wasn't real. I did buy my mom the house and a car. I believe that money bought happiness. I did because I literally became the favorite son of my mom, right? And she bragged about me. And I have these extraordinary brothers and one sister that went to Columbia, top of her class. And all of a sudden, all of her conversation turned to how wonderful I was. And to me, that really at the time, and I was on a journey. I worked at that time twice as hard, twice as efficiently. I earned it. I also have an unconscious competency to attract money. I have a genetic, my personality traits, my characteristics, my obsessions and addictions, all were developed over those 24 years to make a lot of money. And I also have an energetic side to me. I built an energy to attract a positive energy. I had a faith that I was going to be a millionaire. I focused in on it. I manifested it unconsciously. And I was extremely fulfilled. And I carried that all the way through till 32. And 32 is funny. You said, how did I feel? When I built this huge home, I had a Ferrari and a Porsche. I had everything that I wanted. I just bought a golf course. I had a ski mountain. I had 33 homes across the world. And I woke up in my dream home. And I woke up that morning, looked at the ceiling, and my comment was, oh shit. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't happy. I couldn't tell anyone. Because everybody kissed my butt. Everybody thought I was terrific. But I knew the truth. I knew the truth. Number one, I had an energy that I wasn't worthy of all this. My mom had made $17,000 a year. I was so empty. I would give to get, right? I was a manipulator. I could oversell. I could back end sell. I could lie to people. I was a manipulator, and I had all of these wonderful things, and everyone thought I was perfect. And what I was empty and shallow, and only time I gave to a ton of people, so people would tell people how generous I was. I wasn't giving unconditionally. My mom and my wife, even at that time, would tell me how lost I was. The only two honest people in my life would tell me, hey, you got to be careful. You don't want to be the richest man in the cemetery. You're not going to take anything with you. Stop. Just stop. Take a deep breath. And those words would resonate. And so I decided, I would buy different things and more things. And I started surrounding myself, because I was empty. I started putting faith in the voids, the shortages and obstacles in my life. I tried to get artificial stimulation through alcohol and drugs and the wrong people and everyone to make me feel good. And it made me feel worse. And until I was 36 years old, I came home one night intoxicated. I was with Little John, the rapper, at the Grammy Awards. I had lied to my wife about going. And I came home at 5:30 in the morning, and I saw that gorgeous silhouette in the French doors of my huge home. And I walked up to the door, and my wife said to me, "You are not a rock star." And I looked at her, said, "I may not be, but I sure feel like one." And she said, "You know what? I'm not happy, and we need to talk in the morning." And that morning, I get choked up, but my wife saved my life. Because she was my dream girl, right? All the achievements in my life, I always say I did two things that were closest to the pursuit of my potential. One was I was an average Division III football player. And I still today, I wish that I could live to the potential that I lived in football. Although the results weren't extraordinary, nobody would ever look at me and say, "Oh my God, I wish I could be a football player like Dave Meltzer." But I know I have so much potential to motivate people, to help people, to be of service, to speak, to write books. And I'm not nearly close to my potential, but I literally got really close to the best football player I could. I was an average Division III player, but the closest I could be. And marrying my wife has been the closest to my potential of a relationship that you could have. Like, for someone that's just so enlightened, so wise, so beautiful inside and out, that when she threatened me and said, "You need to take stock in who you are and who you were and what you want to become, or I'm leaving," that rocked my world. And it was the catalyst that set me forth on, my wife meditated, my wife was spiritual, my wife, gave unconditionally to all of her friends and family. There was no manipulation in my wife. She was as close to the most honest person, and it hurts your feelings, but she's literally one of the most honest people I've ever met. And all of my frequency that I have today has evolved from idolizing her and going and setting forth with all that effort and focus that I did to make money, to gain wisdom. And so I started to meditate. I started to live my life in a whole different way. I woke up and prayed to God for more than 10 people I could help a day. I live my life of service and of value. That doesn't mean that I'm Mother Teresa and I give away and walk the streets of Calcutta. I believe in making a lot of money so I can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. I learned that money doesn't buy happiness, that it allows me to shop. And if I shop for the right things, then I'll be happy. When my 50th birthday last year, I shopped for the right things. I bought 2 community centers in Africa to impact millions of people. That's what my life was all about. And I started believing that everything wasn't for me or nothing happened to me, that everything came through me for other people with great appreciation, gratitude, and adding value. And the hardest time of my life was 2 years after my wife put me onto my journey, my quantum shift. 2 years after that, my karma hit, and all the bad causes that I created through manipulation, I lost everything. Over $100 million in my late 30s. I lost everything. And at that time, it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I put faith. It didn't matter to me. Everyone else was worried. I had no doubt. I was CEO at the time I had been able to manifest through those 2 years of doing things right, meeting Leigh Steinberg, the most notable sports agent in the world, who's known as a philanthropist and humanitarian. He hired me within 48 hours to be the COO of that firm. And within 6 months, I was CEO of the most notable sports agency in the world. And that's where I attracted and met Warren Moon, the Hall of Fame quarterback, which 11 years ago, we spun off an extraordinary global marketing company, a sports marketing company, to make money, help people, and have fun. But you know,
take us back for a second, though. So you went from being the CEO of Samsung.
Yes.
And again, you're very successful in the internet, the .com. You go through this transition.
Well, I got fired from Samsung because I used to tell people I retired. I would say, if you're going to get fired, get paid to leave. But I was the head of the smartphone division, the world's first smartphone. Yep. And what happened was Samsung grew so much, they realized that it was chic back then, but I was a young 32-year-old CEO that was a great salesman. But with Sarbanes-Oxley, raising money, I was not a CEO. I was a great person to raise money and build a company early, but I would not know how to. We were the second largest manufacturer of phones. So they gave me an option to be an executive vice president of sales or to get paid and step down. So I took the money, became a VC, an angel investor, a real estate investor. Really what I wanted to do was bullshit my way around the world partying. And it was really empty. I had a great time, but it was very empty. So I met Leigh Steinberg, and through this spiritual journey with Leigh as well, I became the CEO of the most notable sports agency.
And so talk about that experience. What you learn from that? And then also talk about what you're doing now with Warren Moon.
Yeah. So at Leigh Steinberg is one of the most important people in my life. He, at the time, was an alcoholic. Not many people knew of the 20-year alcoholic battle that he had. Guys like Jeff Morad, the owner of the Padres, did. Warren Moon, one of my business partners, did. And we were building a business around someone that had a lot of demons. But Leigh was one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. In fact, I always thank my brother, the rabbi, for being CEO of Leigh Steinberg. And if you want to know why, only other person that I know that intelligent is my brother, the Harvard summa cum laude. And so when I met Leigh Steinberg, I wasn't looking for a job. Little did I know Jeff Morad had just bought into the Diamondbacks and he was looking for a COO. But I could connect emotionally to Leigh so easily because it was like talking to my brother who I'd shared a room with for 18 years, right? And I knew how to communicate effectively with him and to motivate him and inspire him. And the best piece of advice Leigh Steinberg gave me was really simple advice. Be kind to your future self. That one little thing, talk about the positive team, right? The power of positive thinking and positive university. There's no better advice if you look on your whole life as kind to your future self by being of service, whatever it is that you're doing, to be kind, not right, which is really funny because with Leigh and I, you had two of the most spiritual, humanitarian, philanthropic, giving, of service people. Leigh went to Berkeley. He was the president of Berkeley Law School. We both were these like woo-woo, really soft guys. And our image and brand was we were the greatest negotiators on earth. And little did they know that we negotiated from a point of value. that we never negotiated to the last penny. We always were fair, and we wouldn't do business with dicks. And those were the 3 rules that we had. But yet our brand and our image was, get Dave Meltzer to negotiate for you. He's a shark. Get Leigh Steinberg. He's the greatest agent in the world, right? And I laughed all the time. I'm like, if they only knew, Leigh, that we have shifted the paradigm of value, that we live our lives of service, and both of us don't give a crap about money, other than the fact that the more that we get, the more we can help other people.
So isn't Jerry Maguire about Leigh Steinberg?
Yeah, so Cameron Crowe followed Leigh around. I know other agents try to steal Leigh's thunder, but absolutely, that movie was about Leigh and the humanitarian and philanthropic side of being of service. And obviously, Cameron Crowe and others, the writing in that movie. People don't realize that Jerry Maguire is just like my sports marketing company. Everybody thinks my sports marketing company is only about sports. Everyone thought that Jerry Maguire, you ask, what's your favorite, sports movie? A lot of people say Jerry Maguire. Let's be honest, it's a love story. It's nothing to do with sports, right? It's not like Any Given Sunday, which Leigh was a technical advisor on. It literally is a love story. Well, Sports One Marketing, which was the firm that Warren Moon and I spun off from Leigh's, we took all the best things that we learned from Leigh. Leigh finally had bottomed out and needed to take a little time off for his own personal issues, and Warren and I spun off our company with the backdrop of sports. Our business is a love story. Our business is about helping people. It uses all the relationships of the biggest names in sports, the biggest events in sports, the biggest companies in sports, and we get everybody to emotionally connect to those so that we can raise a ton of money to help. We won't do anything without a cause or a purpose attached to it.
Give us an example of a project you work on and a client that you have that you work with.
Yeah, so one of our biggest clients is L'Oreal, which most people would think like, well, how's L'Oreal, right? And so they have a product called Redken Brew, which is a man's line of hair product. And so what we do is we take Redken, that they don't know much about sports, they don't know how to monetize and utilize. And number one, we put them in the best place for sponsorship, for hospitality. And then when we do the hospitality and sponsorship, if we put them into like the Masters, for example, and we host their dealers and their salon people and their clients, and we promote their products through all the different channels, and we get, Champ Bailey, the Hall of Famer, to hold Redken and get him in. Well, we also have a media side of things nowadays. And so there's something I call the stage theory. In the past, everything was about the live experience. Well, that's nothing compared to what's called the stage theory, where what we do for big companies is we capture the guys, the executives, the dealers, the salon people, the customers. We capture them on the par 3 tournament. We capture them at the Wednesday night barbecue, at the Wheels Up party, all the different hospitality things with their branding there, talking to other CEOs of TaylorMade and other athletes like Fred McGriff and Champ Bailey and Warren Moon or whoever it is. And then what we do is we create a video of it, a couple 30-second spots, 3-minute spots. And then what we do after we capture it and put it to make it even look better than it really was, with music and the tears and all their signage is captured. Some people never see the Redken sign. Well, when we do the video, it's everywhere. And then we amplify it on the internet, right? It gets shared everywhere. We send it to every one of their salons, every one of their dealers, every one of their executives, and they all share it because they're included in it. And then it's perpetuated on there. Anytime someone searches the Masters, they're getting millions of people to view L'Oreal. Meanwhile, all of that money, but we raise at those events through the celebrities there that have auction item signings, the sponsorship dollars that we collect, it goes to, for example, at the Masters, the Folds of Honor, right, charity. And so, we always pick a charity or a cause, and all of that money allows us to make money, raise money to help others. And because Warren and I are so connected in sports, especially, we both are big fans and still love it, we have a ton of fun. I've been to 21 Masters, and I'm probably the only one that will tell you, besides Tiger Woods, I would compete with Tiger Woods, except for the purses are getting pretty big, that I'm the second most money earner at the Masters next to Augusta National, which is like the Vatican, and I'll never be able to make billions of dollars like they do.
That's unbelievable.
Isn't it awesome? So we put together at the Super Bowl, the Pro Bowl, the Masters, Kentucky Derby, Breeders' Cup, award shows that we love, like the ESPYs, Emmys, Oscars, Grammys, 5,700 golf tournaments that we work with, providing collectibles and items and hospitality and sponsorship and media to capture, amplify, and perpetuate good, positive ideas. I did a Wheels Up commercial. I've done a L'Oreal commercial, with my favorite line, be kind to your future self, or the one my brother told me when I told him I wanted to be a doctor, but I hated hospitals. He said to me, be more interested than interesting. So I have these positive messages that we put on, things that I've learned from Napoleon Hill, things that I've, Think and Grow Rich is my favorite book. I just carry and try to motivate. The biggest difference in my life, I have to try my best to be a motivator, to live unconditionally, not a manipulator. The same skills can easily motivate people that I used to manipulate people with.
So true. What does your wife say about you now? What does she think about you now?
Oh my gosh. I'll give you the story to tell. I'm blessed to be friends with Teddy Mellencamp and her husband, and they've been married 10 years, and she's a housewife now. So there's a lot of branding advice and just friendship between us. I adore them both, but they've been married like 10 years. And my wife is bragging about over the last 10, we're married 21 years, over the last 10 years of our marriage, that we probably have only argued 3 times. And it was very short. And I apologized immediately. And I definitely was accountable for the arguments. And Teddy's like, oh my God, I want to have a marriage like that. I said, hold on, Teddy, ask her about the first 10 years, how many arguments we had. And she looked over and she said, about 2 a day. That's because I learned through my wife that I was living my life in ego. I had a need to be right, a need to be offended, a need to be separate, a need to be inferior, a need to be superior. I had a need to be anxious, fearful, guilty, resentful about everything that I do. And my wife would always tell me, get out of your own way. You are this amazing person. That's why I married you. Get out of your own way. You don't have to talk about money. You don't have to, that all will come to you, she would say. Don't, just please help yourself. Get out of your own way. And I literally would say dumb stuff like, my wife would tell me to meditate. I'm like, I don't have time to meditate. I made everything myself. I did it all myself. Who has time to sit around like you for 20 minutes a day and think about what they want when I can go get it? And I'm like, look around you. How do you think all this happens? Sitting around high on my mom's couch sick? That's what people who meditate are. Like, these are the kind of things that went through my mind. I actually told my mom one time, like, literally, look around you. When she said I was lost, I'm like, who's lost? Look around you. Who bought your house? That car you're driving, am I lost? You've never made any money, Mom. How are you telling me how to live my life? These are the kind of things. And talk about radical humility. Here's my favorite story that shifted me. So I'm on my spiritual journey. I'm making changes in my life, but yet I go bankrupt. I wake up in the morning, the day of filing, and I have to go tell Leigh and Warren that I'm actually filing bankruptcy. And I realize, shit, I'm Midas. They hired me because I'm Midas, and this might not be good for our brand, right? And I'm thinking, God, one of the things we live by with our athletes is 75% of athletes are bankrupt 2.5 years after they play. What are they going to think when the CEO's bankrupt? Like, what kind of advice can I give? So, meanwhile, of course, Leigh was gracious. He had gone bankrupt when he was in his 20s. Warren, who is one of the most enlightened people on earth, and his nickname is QB1 Kenobi. He's so wise. They were super positive and supportive. But then I'm driving home, and I realize I got to stop by my mom's house and tell her golden child, the Midas touch, right? That doctor, lawyer, failure thing, that she was right. I was lost, and I lost everything because of it. But here's the worst thing. When I started to drive down there, I realized one idiotic thing. I had forgotten to take my mom's house out of my name. So not only did I have to go tell my mom I was a failure, the biggest thing in my life I always was afraid of was to go bankrupt, to lose everything. My whole identity was tied to my ability to make money. But I had to go tell my mom that she was moving, that the only reason I wanted to be rich was to buy her house and a car, and I lost it, right? So, but when I did, That's when I witnessed radical humility. So I thought the Jewish guilt was going to come. I thought the tears were going to come. I literally envisioned her falling on the floor, holding her heart, telling me, I told you, when I told her I lost everything and she had to move, all she did was ask me if I was okay, if I needed any money, what she could do to help me. I broke down in tears. I was like, oh my God, I've been lost. Like, my mom and my wife are like incredibly brilliant. And how can they live at such peace? How do they know? Like, I've wasted all this and I need to change my life even more dramatically. I wrote radical humility next to my nightstand. I wrote radical humility on my computer. I wrote it everywhere to remind me that I had no need to be superior or separate to other people, that I had to be one with everything and to be of service and to motivate people, to empower others to be happy, which is what my mom lived by as a second grade teacher. One of the biggest accomplishments or joys of my life still is kids come up to me my age and they'll say, oh my God, is Mrs. Rund your mom? And I was like, yeah, she changed my life. And this is like 49-year-old, right? Your mom changed my life. She was the best teacher I've ever had. I'm like, she was a second grade teacher. I know, but she told me I could do anything. She made me, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what she told me. Maybe she had programmed all 6 of her children, like she programmed 600 kids a year at school and so on and so on. What type of impact has she made? Way more than the millions of dollars I raised to build community centers, right? What an extraordinary experience.
Amazing. Is she still alive, your mom?
Oh yeah, birthday's today. First day of Passover. I got a double mitzvah. I'm going down to celebrate my mom's birthday.
How old is she now?
76 years old.
Wow. Incredible. And I bet she's even more proud of you now than when you had all the wealth and all the success.
Yeah. It's so awesome.
You have a lot of success now, but a different kind of
success. Well, it's so cool because she brags about the money I give, not the money I make, right? And she brags about the things I do. Although I've been blessed to regain all my wealth, it's the things that I do with it. It's the ability to shop, right? Happiness is the shopping. And she brags about her son shopping for the right things. And, I'm blessed to have been able to regain all the things that I need to help others. But I actually set a whole distribution model so that I could live of service. So every penny that I make goes to my wife, to my kids, to my mom, to my community, to my office, to literally our country and then the world in certain percentages. So my wife never knew I did this after bankruptcy, but when I shifted the paradigm of value, she didn't know, but I have her account, so she would have to give me money. So all money would go to her account, and then I'd actually have to ask, because I never learned how to ask for things, which is the biggest humblingest thing. Is I believe that people not only should ask everyone, how can I be of service and add value, but the bigger, more challenging thing is everybody should ask for help. Especially young people. It's the best thing that you can do. Do you know anyone that can help me? And I started a train and a chain of asking for help with every penny that I made, including my first paycheck. When I went bankrupt, it takes a long time to lose that much money. I was working for Leigh Steinberg. So I had a nice salary. And my first check that I got, I had moved into a rented house with rented furniture. I'd lost my cars. I'd lost everything. I had 3 young daughters. My wife was pregnant with my 4th child, my son. And I went to my wife when I got that first paycheck to go deposit it in her account. And I had a check and I said, I'd like to give this to my high school. She said, why? I said, because I could have never gone to college without a scholarship. And my siblings never could have gone to college without a scholarship. I want to give a scholarship to my high school for someone else to go to college. And she looked at me and she said, oh, you finally get it. She said, now double it. And I said, double it? She goes, yeah, you have faith in the universe, double it. I looked at her, I said, I don't have that much faith. And the important message there, because I didn't, is that I still give a lot and I still fight my faith. Anxiety comes up going, gosh, I got 4 kids, 2 of them are in college. I still have that fear. And I tell myself, I'm not going to put faith in what I don't want. I'm putting faith in what I want. I'm giving this money away. I'm going to live in a world of more than enough, and more than enough will always be there. The minute I shift that back to the world of not enough, I'll never have enough, and I'm not going to live that way. And I'm the biggest hypocrite in the world, Jon, because I know all these positive things. I'm on the positive team, and I fight the ego every day. I'm still a hypocrite. I get scared, and I'm just faster at getting back to center. I'm better at it.
And you know what? That's all of us. We're all human. We all have flaws. We all fight the battle of fear and faith every day, good and evil and negativity and positivity, right? That's our journey. So I think it's wonderful that you're so honest about it and that you're sharing it. And your story is obviously amazing. What are you excited about going forward as you think about what you want to create next, or perhaps it's what your company's already doing, but what are you excited about as you move forward?
You know, it shifted a lot. I've always lived off of other people's brands. So whether it was Evander Holyfield or Troy Aikman, Steve Young, Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith, the 8 first picks in the NFL draft, or Leigh Steinberg himself, or Warren Moon, I've always lived off of attracting business through other people's brands. Over the past 3 years, I've been able to build my own brand. I have a book coming out, Game Time Decision Making with McGraw-Hill in July, my 4th book. I have a TV show called...
Talk about your first few books. Give us the name of your first few books.
So my first book was the outline that I wrote that my wife inspired me to write, to take stock in who I was. It's called Connected to Goodness. Okay. It's about making every possibility a probability and every probability a perspective. I went to Napoleon Hill Foundation. I asked for help, and have a bestseller that's out there, and it's about manifesting everything you desire through being inspired. The second book that I wrote is called Compassionate Capitalism, and it's about being a merchant service, about shifting the paradigm of value, of how profitability is terrific if you have purpose and passion tied to it. The third book I wrote is fully for charity. It's with one of the best authors in the world, Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, wrote 500 million books. It's called Unstoppable, Creating the Life You Love. It's a short book with work. It's a workbook, moreover, and all the money goes to Unstoppable Foundation, which I'm the chairman of. And then this new book is Game Time Decision Making, comes out July 15th with McGraw-Hill. It'll be a national bet. It's a big book, and it's a real book deal, which ties into all the speaking I do around the world. I'm the chancellor of Junior Achievement University with 100 million alumni. I'm the head chancellor of that. I'm the chairman of Unstoppable. I speak all around the world about leadership, motivation, positive thinking, sports, technology, whatever I can. And then, I do trainings. I have a very large business coaching practice, one-on-one coaching, coach the coach, business advisory. I have 10 coaches beneath me that assist me around the world. And I build content. I don't sell anything on the internet. If you watch my videos, at David Meltzer, I'm the old man of Instagram. I have one of the biggest followings of anyone over 50. They call me Uncle Dave of the internet. But anyone that asks for my book, I send it out for free and pay for shipping. I give all my content for free, and I never sell anything through my content. There's no advertisement. I have a top 5 business podcast called The Playbook, which I want to have you on, Jon, with Entrepreneur. And, I don't have advertising on there. I don't sell anything. I truly want to live my life as a motivator and trust the universe that if I put value into the world, value will come back to me and through me for the benefit of more people. And I just keep expanding because I'm like a huge pipe, and I just want more and more of everything that I want so I can add value and give it to other people.
I love it. What a beautiful way to live.
It's I'm blessed. Let me just tell you, it's a lot of work to get here. There's a lot of dummy tax, which is why I want to give it to other people, because I have paid a lot of dummy tax. And if you're going to ask, who's Dave Meltzer, he's one of the biggest dummies that you'll ever meet, which makes me one of the most successful people, because I believe this. People that are positive, they think that they're positive because they have faith to get through the struggles, right? The universe never promised, and God never promised that you're not going to struggle. But we think we're all positive because we're going to get through it. That's BS. My faith is that I'm going to get through it, learn from it, and be better from it. So struggles to me means I'm getting better, where everyone else wonders why they're stuck because they're like, I get through the struggles. Yeah, but you're equal to or less than what you were when you went through the struggles. I'm better. I'm like a butterfly breaking out of a cocoon. I'm stronger. I'm ready to fly higher. And that's how I see things. And I want to motivate other people, I think the world turned into this whiny, why me world where they're victims. They're like, why me? Why? Not me. I grew up in a try me world. When struggles, I was born into it. And it's like, yeah, this is what makes people great. I'm blessed to be on the Olympic committee. You know what makes every Olympian great is that they're better off than they were through their struggles. They're try me people. They can take and withstand and create more from being challenged than anyone else. And that's what I want for everyone, is to say, yes, I'm going to be challenged so I can get better. Not, why me? Why is this happening? I got a challenge, a void, a shortage, an obstacle in my life. Oh, I hate that.
I love it, David. Why me? No, it's try me. Truly inspired by you and your story. Thanks so much for joining us on Positive University.
Oh, it's been the best, man. I want to have you on my podcast. Thank you, Jon.
I'd love to. I'd be honored.
Thank you.